And the same person that said, I am the light of the world, also said, you are the light of the world. And not only did he say, we are the light of the world, he said, to be bright. There's the lights of the world. If you watch long enough, you kind of get a little bit dizzy, but if you listen to what the world says, it'll point you in so many different directions all at the same time, and it's as if to say, look over here, there's glitz and there's glamour. I'm 53 years old. I've chased a lot of those lights, and there was not a party at the end of any one of them. When I was in the field of property management, I worked my way up to become a professional trainer. I never intended to do it. It's just the way that it happened. I worked my way to the top of the field. And so I became a speaker because that's what you did. I knew the industry enough that I could go out and talk about it. And I loved the industry, so I was passionate about it. And I was in my 20s, and people would always ask me whether it was 50 people or 100 people. At every seminar, someone would always come up to me and they would say, how did you know your purpose? And little did I know at the time, in my 20s, and like I said, I'm 53 now, that question changed everything for me because I didn't have an answer. In 2004, by then I was married, I had 2 little children. The man that I married also taught seminars. We traveled, and I wanted to stay home with my baby, so I told my husband one day, the same phrase I've told him numerous times, and I said, honey, I think I'm going to, and then he's very quiet in those moments, like, oh no, what's she gonna say? But I said, honey, I think I'm gonna write a book, and I'm gonna call it People with Passion. And he looked at me and he said, that's a very good idea, honey, like, you know. But I said, you know what? That question is really burning in my soul. I want to talk to people who know what God's called them to do and how to do it. So I'm going to start sending letters out to people who wake up every day, they know what God's called them to do, and they've done it. We started sending out letters to people across the country and saying, can I come talk to you? And the first 2 people that said yes were, and these were very big ministries at the time, Millard and Linda Fuller from Habitat for Humanity. They said I could come talk to them, and Habitat for Humanity was like global, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I get in my car and I drive to Americus, Georgia. And the other person who said yes right early in the beginning was Bill McCartney, who had started Promise Keepers. So I knew I was really on to something, and I'm still doing that today. So what we're going to talk about is kind of what I've learned from them and also what I've learned from this pursuit. The first thing I want to say about a lamp is it doesn't light a whole lot of space. It doesn't light your whole life. It lights the room that you're in. So the first thing we need to think about is when we turn on the lamp, which is the Word of God, thy word is a lamp unto thy feet. We're not looking for our whole life to be defined. We're looking for a few answers for God to lead us into our next few steps. Have you ever just been through those times when things are happening, and I've been through this season recently where there's just a lot of things I don't get. You know, what just happened? I don't get it. And I pray these things into thy word is a lamp unto thy feet. Last year, I was cleaning out closets and I found 61 completed Bible studies. I'm a big fan of Bible studies, but one of the Bible studies I had done 4 times and did not remember once. But what if half of that time had been just me, God, and the Bible? So our revelation, thy word is a lamp unto thy feet, means us individually. In order to know the light in our life, it has to be between us and God. The next thing is identity. In order to know who you are, you have to be very sure of who you're not. I'm not a complainer. The reason that I worked my way up to become a trainer is because I was on my own right out of high school. House, money, the whole 9 yards, completely financially independent. I went to college for about a minute. So I had a little taste of what I wasn't going to get to do. But they came and told me no one had paid the bill, so I went to work. So I went into the field of property management, and the reason that I chose it, and some of you have heard me say this before, is because they had an apartment and a salary, and most of the time a pool. So I took the job, and I went to work. And I didn't have a lot of the competitive edges people had. So I would go to meetings and I would listen to people complain. And I was so happy to have the job, because if I didn't, I would have been homeless. I had nowhere to go. So I sat there in every meeting after every meeting after every meeting, and I thought, I'll never become that. And guess what? I never did. The reason I stood there and taught seminars is because I had a good attitude. I never talked bad about my boss, and I did not slack at work. What else is up there? Crafty. Yeah, don't invite me to any hot glue gun parties. 1 Corinthians 12. The last time you opened a present, like a gift, did you ever stop to think maybe it's just empty? There's nothing in the box? No, when you get a gift, you rip into it because you expect it to be something awesome. You are gifted. I want you to be like a kid with a birthday present. You are very gifted, and I want you to wake up every day and say, I'm gifted by God today to do what He's called me to do. God has gifted each one of us, each one of you, to be you. The power of your story and the power of my story and the power of the Christians sharing their story is what will change the world. I want you to think about your favorite movie. And once you think about your favorite movie, I want you to think about how long it probably took for them to get it down to 2 hours. One thing I've learned, nobody wants to know your life story. Nobody wants to know my life story, and we've all got doozies. What people want to know is how your life story can help my life story right now today. And then trust Him to use your life to change others. In 2004, y'all notice I said I was going to write a book. Do you see a book table here? Do you know what? A couple weeks ago, I actually came into an agreement with somebody about a book. But you know what? God said no to me. And it might be that now God says yes. But I'm less anxious about it because He will either say yes or He will either say no. Use what you have. I had the knowledge of a great story could change lives. So we put it in a magazine. And God came along beside us and assembled a great team and gave us advertisers, and it's working really well. Practice your story. What has God done in your life? Share it. Edit it. Share it. Edit it. Ask other people. That is how we change the world.